Today we're talking about the racist history of golf. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. No silly intro today, nothing silly. We need to get right into it. Okay, yesterday I posted a TikTok and it is about an image that is on display in the food area of the golf course that I work at. For context, this is the image. I basically made a video asking if the image itself was racist because I didn't know a lot about it. And so many overwhelmingly, I don't know how to say this, evil, hateful, bigoted comments and messages have been flooding my way. So it's time to go to school. So now it's time for us to all sit down and learn something new, okay? After reading those comments, I decided to go do my own research because I was getting a little overwhelmed at some of the stuff that people were saying because it was just insane, actually insane. The first thing that we're starting off with is going to be something called the Caucasian Only Clause. It basically was a clause in golf memberships that stated that all players had to be white, basically, to have a membership. That was dropped in 1961. But just because it was officially removed does not mean that it was practiced in every membership at every golf course. Some individual golf clubs have continued discriminatory practices even without a specific written clause. The Masters tournament saw its first African American player in 1975. For reference, the top songs of that year were Shining Star by Earth, Wind & Fire, Fame by David Bowie, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, and Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Now with that in mind, let's visualize the image again. Okay, let's see what's going on. We have some white golfers playing and you see a young black child who is working as a caddy carrying around their stuff. The job of the caddy itself has a history of racial discrimination, especially at the Masters tournament. Up until 1983, they had a policy that said that all caddies had to be provided by the club, and because of the area and stuff going on at the moment, all of the caddies were young black children. The co-founder of the Augusta Nationals, Clifford Roberts himself said, "As long as I am alive, all golfers will be white and all caddies will be black." And he died in 1977 by suicide. Now let's remember, these rules were not taken out of place, the rules that all caddies have to be provided by the club themselves, until 1983. Again, for time reference, that was the same year that Billie Jean by Michael Jackson went #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Also, honorable mention songs that year. Let's see. Photograph by Def Leppard, She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer, Faithfully by Journey, and All Night Long by Lionel Richie. A lot of people kept dismissing the race aspect of the picture and just talking about a child working and bringing up child labor laws that came in place around the 1930s, 1940s, but that was not the point I was trying to make with the video. The point was that stuff like this during this time was a different form of slavery disguised under a different name. Slavery was eradicated, so different aspects of society went out of their way to find different ways to create their own hierarchy and basically have this society, an area or place, whatever, where the black man works for the white man, which is like the central idea of white supremacy. When we see jobs like caddies and other servant-like jobs during that time period, it's where the beginning of tipping culture in the United States began. Back in this time, black people that were allowed to work or could find jobs, they were paid very little, if not nothing, which is where we saw tipping, which was where you provide a service, someone pays you for it. So oftentimes, a lot of the money that was made was from the actual patrons themselves rather than the business. In that video, I was simply trying to make the point that an image like that shows and represents such a history that is very negative and hateful and exclusionary should not be proudly displayed at a little food and beverage area. I'm not saying the picture shouldn't exist. I'm not saying to destroy history. I'm not saying to get rid of everything completely that is a picture from that time period representing what we have talked about today. All I'm saying is that there is a time and place for everything, even if it's negative. There are museums and stuff that have stuff like that in them, made for research and looking back on and remembering and learning about things. But a snack bar is not that place. I got an overwhelming amount of comments, if not almost every single comment on that video, saying that it's not racist to see a young child working and getting money and doing whatever. And then people in the comments were also saying like, oh, when I was this age, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I was a caddy and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, there were white people in the comments saying basically, well, I was a caddy, so it's not racist, blah, blah, blah. But completely ignoring the actual history of the job itself, which was very much represented in the picture of a very young looking child following behind a group of golfers. While the image itself might not be inherently racist, it is an image of a point in time where racist things were societally okay and accepted and taking place very regularly, and it was normal for the time period, despite the fact that it's not morally right. So while, yes, you may have been a caddy when you were younger in more recent years, that does not erase the fact that the job was founded on racism and exclusionary tendencies and white supremacist ideals. I don't know. I just simply wanted to make the TikTok because I felt like an image like that being displayed. So in the center of the room, mind you, could, like, what if people walk in and they see it and they feel like, you know what I mean? Like, that is a very loud picture, and them placing it in the center of the room between like windows and stuff feels very odd. I don't know. So I just wanted to pose a question and be like, how do you guys feel about this? And then it got turned completely into, I'm a snotty liberal, I like looking for racism, and like people are saying that I'm racist for looking at this and saying that he's a slave when I never said he was a slave in the picture, or that it was a picture of slavery or anything of that matter. I was just looking at the picture, and just looking at the picture, I felt, something about this doesn't feel right. Regardless of the child's race in the picture, if I know nothing about this, which I do now, that's a very young kid. Point blank period. That's a very young kid. That's it. I really don't know what else I should say about this. I just felt like I very much needed to make a more long form video on YouTube as opposed to just a TikTok response on this, because the overwhelming amount of people being ignorant in my comment sections and just go look. It made me feel like, oh, like we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this a little more in depth. And we did. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more information. I could make a video that was like 30,000 hours long, but I feel like by now we've all grasped the point that I'm trying to make. I originally tried to make. I maybe didn't convey well the first time I tried to make it. Maybe I did. Maybe I was taken out of context. I don't know. This is me trying again and researching things, learning things about what I was looking at, and having a different frame of reference when looking at the picture. So no, a singular print of an image may not be racist, but it can be a print or an image of a racist time in history, or a racist incident taking place, or so just something that I'm trying to go up there, I'm trying to grab a snack, a Powerade, a beer, and then go hit the golf course. Why is this the art on the wall? That's the point I'm trying to make. Why is this picture thrown up on the wall in such a casual setting to where it's almost like, felt like proud of it? You guys proud of, like, this is how we got here? I don't understand. If you made it this far, thank you. I'm so glad. Please comment and let me know your thoughts, how you feel, either here or over on the original video on TikTok. I'll have a link to it in the description. I'll also have a link to all of the articles that I read before I made this video and wrote down notes about. That way you can see that I'm not pulling it right out of my buns, okay? I actually said, whoa, this is getting intense. Let me hit the Safari. I don't know what's coming next on this channel. I just felt like this is something I definitely needed to say. So subscribe if you want so you can see whatever happens next, whenever it happens, whenever I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. The intro is the outro today because we had to get right into it. Sorry about it.